On the farm tonight, agriculture's connection to basketball. With all the excitement about the Virginia Tech Hokies' trip to the Final Four, our George Noliff decided to do a little digging to find out how farming helped make it all possible.
Love basketball? Thank a farmer. That's right. Without some good old-fashioned farm innovation, the game of basketball would not exist.
Well, I guess you learn something new every day.
Let's start in 1891. The person who invented basketball, Dr. James Naismith, grew up on a farm in Ontario, up in Canada. He was working as an instructor at Springfield College in Massachusetts when he was tasked with developing a game that could be played indoors in the winter. Putting the problem-solving skills he learned on the farm to work, he came up with a game that involved putting a ball through a peach basket. A peach basket. You don't get much more on the farm than that.
Naismith says, in part, the inspiration for basketball came from a game he played with the other farm kids growing up. It's called Duck on a Rock. Here's how you play it. This rock goes on top of that rock. That top rock, that's the duck. The other players would then line up and take their rocks and try and knock the duck off that rock. Now here's the catch. The player whose rock was the duck, they would stand in front to try to defend the rock. Rocks would be flying.
Kind of crazy, but it could be fun, so.
That brings us to what some critics say is the best team sports movie of all time, Hoosiers. Loosely based on a true story, it's essentially farmers and basketball, with the underdog small-town kids using their farm grit to overcome great odds. That's something every farmer does on a daily basis, and they won a state championship.
I'll make it.
And on almost every farm, you'll find heavy equipment. You know, they say nothing runs like a deer. And apparently nothing stops backboard destroying power dunks like a deer too. The dunk is one of the most exciting plays in the modern game, but it was outlawed for years because of the danger of bringing down the rim. That was until Illinois farmer Arthur Ehret used John Deere tractor springs to create the collapsible rim. That those springs were tough enough is no surprise to Eric Finch of James River Equipment.
Yeah, it's not surprising. John Deere makes a good product.
And since we're talking about Virginia Tech's run to the Final Four, you have to remember Tech was founded in part as an agriculture school. The education and research done there is used to advance farming practices worldwide. So folks, a win by the Lady Hokies is a win for farmers everywhere. Usually the upper ponds at Smoking Chimneys Farm in Craig County are full of trout ready for market. But not these days.
We lost about 8,000 fish over the course of 3 or 4 days. This is where we keep our fish until they're about 3 or 4 months old, and then we move them to the ponds where they spend the rest of their life.
That was Smoking Chimneys owner Ty Walker. The thing that failed is the thing that makes Walker's operation special. His hatchery and rearing ponds are spring-fed, but the heat of this summer caused that spring to drop and led to a cascade of issues, and that led to the fish kill.
We're using artesian spring water that's gravity-fed. Like I said, there's no pumps, there's nothing artificial going on here, but when you base your system on that, sometimes the natural systems don't cooperate with what you're wanting, you know, and that's just part of it, and that's what makes a product really special and really sought after.
Walker is making repairs, digging out ponds, rearing more fish that'll be ready for market in about a month. His neighbors, other farmers, and the community have rallied to help him bridge that gap, some with fundraising, some with volunteering.
My friend in Fincastle, Harley Cox, that runs the Teen Challenge, brought out all 16 of his girls that are in his program, and they helped for like 3 days, clean and gut fish, and it was humbling, man. You know, this is our livelihood, and to have, you know, 16 teenage girls out there saving your life, so to speak, was pretty amazing to see.
In the meantime, all that's left for Walker is to get back on his tractor and keep on going. And that, in the end, is all that any good farmer can do.
How y'all doing, folks? Smoking Chimneys sells direct as well as to local restaurants and markets. Ty tells me a number of trout were saved and either frozen, roasted, or smoked. Still, losses are going to add up north of $20,000. And as I've reported before, most farms operate on razor-thin margins, so that's a huge hit to the bottom line and operations.
And George, the community's still coming through to help out too, right?
Yeah, that's right, Drew. Tomorrow night at Bloom in Wasena, there's going to be a fundraiser for the Walker family and Smoking Chimneys. That's at Bloom, Wasena, tomorrow night. And guess what's on the menu? A variety of Smoking Chimneys trout that have been processed and frozen before the fish kill. Also then on Friday, Glad Heart Wine and Brews over on Brambleton. They're going to hold a fundraiser wine tasting to help out. And if you can't make it to either of those events, a Give, Send, Go account has been set up. I have a link to that on the On the Farm page of our website, WFXRTV.com.
All right, George, you know we're wishing them the best. You know the community comes together, big things can happen, so hoping they'll be all right. Thank you.
It's the time of year when a lot of farm equipment's going to be on the road.
And a lot of people just really get angry and they can't wait and make poor choices sometimes.
Robert Janney farms in Floyd County. This time of year, he's making hay. He's not alone. Spring and early summer are a busy time for farmers. There's a lot to do, so they have their gear on the move. That means sharing the road with passenger and commercial vehicles.
It's a challenge for us as we're on the road. We can only go, 16, 18 miles an hour, and you're running 55, and you'll be on us before you realize it. One little mistake, it can be devastating for somebody.
All right, so a little common sense goes a long way. You see a piece of equipment like this on the road, slow down, take your time. The person driving this gear has to get somewhere. You have to get somewhere. Everybody has to get there alive.
As you approach me, I'll be able to see you in my rearview mirrors, but if you get too close to me, I lose line of sight. I don't know if you're back there or not. Did you turn off? Did you go somewhere? I won't know that.
Well, it can be frustrating. We all have to get somewhere, farmers included. Though they don't want to be in your way, they're entitled to the road too. Think of it this way. It's part of the cost of farmers putting food on America's table. So, slow down.
Time is something we all value, and we all just need to share a little bit of that time and share the road. Give me just a few minutes. I will try to get pulled over. I'll try to get out of your way if at all possible. If not, just give me a little extra time, and I promise I'll do something to free you up to let you go.
On the farm tonight, Thanksgiving. It's less than 2 weeks away, and if there's any American holiday that definitely has a direct link to agriculture, it's Thanksgiving. WFXR's George Noliff has our story.
Your mom would know that because she's a teacher.
The question I get asked a lot this time of year is, how do I put a little bit of Virginia on my Thanksgiving table?
Come on, turkeys.
The easy answer to that is a fresh turkey. Why a fresh turkey? Well, most frozen turkeys are coming from out of state. The only way to guarantee you're getting a Virginia bird is to order a fresh one from a Virginia farmer or from a place like Yard Bull Meats that buys them from Virginia producers.
First and easiest way is to get an awesome Virginia turkey. We still have a few available for pre-order on our website. They come from awesome farms. They have been thriving this year, and they're coming in bigger, fatter, and juicier than normal.
And sure, you're going to pay a little more for a fresh bird, but a lot of folks would argue they taste better, so it's worth it, especially once a year. But there's another reason to buy from a local shop or farm.
Ultimately, something that we're proud of with the shop is transparency. So we know where these birds came from, we know the land that they were on, and who's handled them every step of the way.
How y'all doing, folks? A lot of places are sold out of fresh birds, though Yard Bull still has some left. Here's something else about a fresh turkey. That frozen bird, it's been in a deep freeze for months. A fresh bird, well, it's still walking around, scratching, eating bugs, just doing turkey things right now. It won't be harvested until just a few days before Thanksgiving. And one thing about fresh birds, they usually taste better.
So, George, is there any other ways to incorporate Virginia into your Thanksgiving meal?
Yeah, right off the top of my head, I got two.
Okay.
One, country hams. Produced in Virginia, one way. A lot of folks like to have ham and turkey on Thanksgiving. Virginia pork producers put out some of the best hams around. Two, pumpkins. Virginia, one of the top pumpkin producers on the East Coast. Local pumpkin farmers have plenty. Buy one and make yourself a pumpkin pie.
Yeah, and I've never really thought about it, though, the frozen turkey thing, more likely to come from out of state. If you're buying the fresh one, it's probably coming from Virginia.
Yeah, the out-of-state ones generally are coming from the upper Midwest. A lot of them are harvested as early as June and put in a deep freeze. They've been on ice for months.
Oh, come all ye faithful. 'Tis the season to be planning your vacation. That's right. You might be thinking of unveiling those perfect vacation plans on Christmas morning as the family's big holiday gift. How about the beach? Good call, and for a lot of families, a charter fishing trip while on vacation at the beach is on the wish list.
Go ahead, reel. Steady, steady.
But because of cost, anywhere from $500 to north of $1,000, it'll have to stay on the wish list.
Excellent. Now we're cooking.
But what if I told you there's a way to get the family out on the ocean for a fraction of the cost? It's called a headboat charter.
Good morning. How you doing? All right.
It certainly is a great time to be had, really just about year-round. Just a great opportunity to come down and have some fun and catch some fish.
Oh, excellent way to get the family out. And you usually get dinner out of it, too. Oh, red snapper. All right.
The reason it's called a headboat is because you'll pay by the head to get on the boat, usually around $40 to $70 a person. So you could take a family of 4 ocean fishing for the day for under $300.
Big cobia, make me a keeper, get the gift.
And you're down here on vacation, decide to do a little fishing.
Yep. Got to take the chance when you can.
Yeah.
That's a grunt.
Nice.
Yeah, normally you got to be on at least like 15 miles to really catch them consistently, so. But we'll take it.
Once you're out there, who knows what you'll catch? It could range from smaller fare, great for filling up a cooler for a fish fry, to bigger species like red snapper or drum.
Oh, nice. Don't be afraid, little guy. Don't be afraid.
Look over here.
Say cheese. You, for a fleeting moment, you don't know whether you've gotten the bottom or whether you have something serious down there. And it takes just a minute for that fish to take off. And then you know you've got something good coming up.
It's an adventure. Every day's like a box of chocolates.
But catching fish is secondary to the experience of getting the family together on the water.
I mean, it's amazing to be able to meet people from all walks of life, from all over the country and sometimes different parts of the world. You know, you get to hang out with them for a little while and take them fishing. I mean, I can't imagine anything better to do for a job.
Perfect, reasonable priced. Who wouldn't love to spend a good long morning out on the water? If you happen to if you get a stringer of fish and you get to take them home with you, then that's just the icing on the cake.
For people, they're for fish.
These are trees straight out of people's living rooms that were headed for the landfill, so we give them a second lease on life.
That's Jason Hallaker. He's a fisheries biologist with the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources. He and his team manage various fish species, and sometimes that job means building fish habitats.
We pick strategic spots within the reservoir to sink these trees to provide structure for fish so anglers can come back and target those areas.
You can find Jason and his team sinking Christmas tree fish habitats practically anywhere in the Commonwealth. But on this day, it was happening at Lake Frederick near Front Royal. Anglers love it.
You never know what you're going to catch, but sometimes it's a lot better than other weeks.
It's a good lake to fish. Come see us, Lake Frederick.
The trees, which are all donated or collected, take a little bit of work before they can go into the water. There's the drilling. And then the cinder blocks are attached.
That when it sinks vertically and stands up instead of falling out more quickly.
Okay. Finally, onto the boat and out into the lake.
I think it's going to be a fish magnet.
The tree habitats provide fish cover, a place to hide for the smaller fish, and a place for larger fish to ambush those smaller fish.
The main predator in this lake and the main target for most anglers are those largemouth bass, and they can grow upwards of 10 pounds.
I think there's something really great about being able to have interaction between people doing the scientific work and anglers that are actually reaping the benefits of a lot of that work, and that interaction with the community makes this kind of work extremely rewarding.